Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 3 of Bursts of Joy. This episode, Claire and I were joined by one of our good friends, Madelyn White, to discuss one of her favorite albums called The Baby by Samia. If you haven't yet given it a listen, I would say listen to it before you listen to this episode because it really helps to sort of know what we're talking about before you hear all of our opinions about it. But if you did listen to the album, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy listening to us talk about it on this episode. A little backstory of our friendship. Claire, Madelyn, and I all met through TikTok, through Harry and One Direction TikTok, and she's one of our closest mutual friends, so we thought it would be fitting to have her as the first guest, the first real distinguished guest on the podcast. I hope you all enjoy, and yeah, thank you for listening. Today, we're joined by partial co-host Claire Bernacki. Is it Bernacki?
Bernacki, yes.
Bernacki. And
Hello.
Madelyn White.
Hello.
Long time coming. Oh,
I know. I can't believe this is the first time we're all talking at the same time.
Oh my
That's-
gosh, really?
I've actually never, Emma, I've never talked to you before
We've
like
never-
this.
How?
I don't know because it feels like we have because like I've watched your lives before and like we do voice
sent videos.
messages. Yeah, we send videos and voice messages sometimes. So like it feels like we've talked face to face, but no, this is the first meeting.
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, it feels so wonderful to be in on this beautiful meeting.
I love it. Literally
Yay.
two of my favorite people ever.
Same here.
We love you.
Mhm.
I
So
feel terrible,
this episode, we're here to discuss a really amazing, incredible album that Madelyn picked, The
Yay.
Baby by Samia. Hopefully, a majority of people did listen to it, so you can hear our input, and especially Madelyn's, because she's the one that. Oh, look, she's
There
got
it
it
is.
already.
I have it here.
So, first of all, Madelyn, give
Mhm.
a little backstory, how you found it, what it means to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I discovered Samia when I was she was the opening act for another female artist that I really like, named Donna Missile. And so I went to see her in 2019 in like LA, and Samia was the opener. And so I'd listened to her like a little bit on the way up to LA, and I was like, oh, she's really good. And then she like came out just like barefoot on stage and like just like was like wailing, like doing these amazing vocals and like dancing around. It was like the coolest thing ever. And I love Donna Missile, and it was just like that's such like a happy memory for me. So then this album came out this past summer. So she's had some singles and EPs, and there was actually one or two from this album that she performed like live that night that I saw her. But the album didn't come out in full until this past summer, and I've been listening to it like nonstop. Seriously, it's insane. So
It's so good. If I
Yes.
can just
it's so good.
reflect. Yeah. I think I've seen her name around, and
Yeah.
doesn't she
That's
follow
fine.
you?
Yeah, she followed me on Instagram randomly because I posted about like how much I was enjoying one of her songs or something. And then she like followed me and I was like, what? What is going on?
Right.
She still does. I do check every morning to make sure. No, I'm just kidding. But she does follow me and I was like, okay, like that's really cool. But yeah, yes, we're besties.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
Claire, what were your thoughts on it?
Wow. Okay. So I listened yesterday when I was driving back to San Antonio from Austin, and I was just like, it was just like the perfect headspace for it. I wrote notes. So like the opener, I genuinely didn't realize that she made the choice consciously to start 30 seconds in. So I
Mhm.
was like, is my
Yeah.
radio broken? I
something
literally
off?
had
Yeah.
a moment. And then I had to like sit there for a minute, and then it started. And I was like, this has similar I don't know, is it like a key or keyboard of like, you know
Yeah.
how like
Like
the
synth kind of.
1975 starts with like
Yes.
that synth
Mhm.
sound. She
Yep.
started with that, and I was like, okay, this is so good. I loved Pool. Immediately was drawn in. I was
I
like,
like
yes.
honestly, I think it is the best opening song on any album. It's my favorite opening song on any album, I think, ever. Like, period. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a great start. I think that
Yeah.
was one of the things that stood out to me was like, wow, this
Yes.
is a perfect way to start an album.
Yeah, it's so, like,
Yeah.
atmospheric, and it literally feels like you're underwater in some parts,
Mhm.
and, like, the drop also because it, like, builds up kinda slow, and then all of a sudden it's like, "How long do you think we can sit here before we have to move?" And then it, like, drops, and it's like it feels like you, like, jumped in water or something. Like, it's so good!
So
Yeah.
good.
I'm so happy right now. This is great.
What other notes did you have, Claire?
Um, I think so. Saying my top, I wrote my favorite songs, so I just like clicked them whenever I would be like, you know, when you have those moments where you're like, I know immediately I'm
Yeah.
going to like this song.
Mhm.
I had those moments. So my tops that I wrote down were Pool, Big Wheel,
Mhm.
Waverly. Waverly
Yes!
is very much my vibe of like
Underrated,
I
let me
like
tell
the
you.
beat. I like
Yes.
drops like that. And then Winnebago and Minnesota were my favorites.
That's
Lit
actually crazy because I was gonna go next and I was gonna say my top two, Minnesota, which you had shown me before.
so good.
One of the best songs ever.
It's so
And
good.
Winnebago was I was gonna say was my other favorite. And also
Yeah.
um Fit and Full. I remember
Good one.
I was listening to it a couple days ago when I was taking a walk because I like to take a walk a few times a
Yeah.
week. There's like a trail right by my house. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I'm gonna listen to this whole album on my walk and I'm not gonna come home until I finished it. And it was like the perfect
It's
walk
so
song. Like I
yeah.
could so
Yeah.
perfect. And I remember like the opening, I was like already just
Yeah.
so amazed. And then Finn
Yes.
started, I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
By the end, when it got to like Minnesota, I was like, and this is a sound that I remember because you had shown me it before. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And her lyrics, which we
She's
Yeah.
she's so great. Yeah. So, I mean, very similar to both of you guys. I mean, Pool obviously is just one that like when you're listening to it, you're like, "Ah, this couldn't be better than it is." Like for the opening song and just in general, it's amazing. And that line, "How long do you think we can sit here before we have to move?" is like one of my favorite lines ever. But Winnebago was like on repeat all summer. That one in Minnesota were like two of the best summer songs for me.
were
So
all
good. Yeah, taste. And then also Triptych, that one is like it's almost like a slower burn, but like it'll get up to your top 3. Like it's so good. Waverly is also amazing. And there's a music video for a couple of them. Waverly has one. Is There Something in the Movies has one.
I'll
She's
definitely
amazing.
look those up because she's
Yeah.
cool. I
She's
think
so cool. And like I don't know, it's just like so abstract, all of it, like the Waverly music video, she's like walking around just like holding a handful of spaghetti. Like I don't I but it just works. Like I don't know how she does it. She's amazing.
that's so perfect.
Um but yeah, those are definitely some of my top favorites too.
Mhm.
Me
Okay,
naming
wait.
the whole album and then saying they're my favorites, yeah.
I was thinking about Samia and like I had a big phase like earlier in high school where I didn't know of that many female artists that I really enjoyed listening to. So I listened to a lot
Mhm.
of like male voices. And I like recently got more like way more into female voices like Phoebe Bridgers or Big Thief or Always, like
Yeah.
great bands, whatever. And so this is another voice, like female voice. I just love it. Like she is so,
Yes.
it's so like unique and not surprising because I didn't expect it,
Yeah.
but just refreshing. I really liked it.
It is. And she's got a very like unique voice too, and it's so emotional and like I don't know, it just works with everything. Like all of her song, it just works on all of them. It's insane. And she has such a cool range too. Like she goes so high sometimes. Like her head, it's insane.
Mhm.
And it's beautiful. But yeah, I've been really getting into a lot of female artists over the last couple years. Like I found her from another one of my favorite female artists, which also add that to your list, Donna Missel.
Okay, yeah.
That was my other album that I was like trying to decide between is that Donna Missel came out with an album this year too. It's called Lighter and it's fantastic. But yeah, Lighter by Donna Missel also like honorable mention. These are my two top albums that came out in 2020 for sure.
You know, I was thinking about too was like something I kind of discussed with Emma before you came on was the way she like her lyrics are very beautiful in the sense that like it feels like you're having a conversation, or it's like her stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't feel like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like you're just like in her head with her
Yeah.
thoughts through things. And I like the way like everything was weaved together in that way. It just
Yeah.
felt like it felt more intimate in a sense. Like it
Yes.
wasn't this like level of like, when I was listening to her music, I felt like I was like talking to a friend. It wasn't like I was listening to this artist that I can't like reach or like understand
Yeah.
or get in that headspace. So that was
Yeah.
something I really noted. And her voice, when we were talking about voices, I was gonna say that her voice is so unique because it's, and I was picking up on these things when I was listening to it. First, there was like the way she would like sing almost sounded like Phoebe Bridgers. That was the first thing I thought of. And then I
Mhm.
thought of, obviously, Madelyn and I could talk about, she knows exactly what I'm gonna bring up. Maggie
I know what you're
Rogers.
gonna say, and I knew you were gonna say before we ever came on this call.
She has like a similarity to Maggie, and
She
Madelyn and I
does.
love
Maggie Rogers.
Maggie Rogers to the point of like
Yeah.
no return, it's unhealthy.
Yes.
And Enya, believe it or not, do y'all
Yeah.
remember the 90s artist Enya? She
And like
sounds like that.
Alanis kind of like there's
Yes.
that like anger in a lot of them, and I
Mhm.
don't know the way her voice, she like breaks her voice sometimes. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yes.
On her lyrics, I think one of the things that I really appreciate about what she does, and I've heard this with like a couple artists that I don't know, not off the top of my head, I don't know, but
Yeah.
with Samia, I feel like a lot of artists, uh, and I'm not a songwriter. I try, but I'm not, I'm not a
Yeah.
lyricist. But I feel like some people use words as filler, and some people write songs. Like I feel like
Hmm.
there's poems into songs, and then there's uh, here I thought of a melody, I thought of a few lines or whatever, and
Yeah.
then now I just need to fill in the rest of it. And
Yeah.
hers, like what Claire was saying, it's very conversational, very personal, and it sounds like it just she was just telling a story or talking about something
Yeah.
and then she put it to song. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
so natural, it's so
Yeah,
cool.
it doesn't feel as like outside looking in as some there's a lot of great songwriters that do that kind of like narrative thing, but it feels like you're like listening to someone else's story. And this, it does just feel like you're like listening to a friend tell you about something that's going on in their life.
Yeah.
Um, and like some of the, I don't know, some of the things she says and like some of her lyrics are sort of like obscure and a little abstract and like don't necessarily make like it could just mean something completely different to whoever's listening. I don't know. It's never like it's not always a direct meaning or a direct like phrase that you've heard or something, but it feels personal still somehow.
And that is so hard to achieve. Like
It's so
over
hard.
quarantine, I've been trying to write songs and like
It's so hard.
it's so hard.
Yeah.
That's real talent. It's so hard.
It is. And then like to have that and then like the songs are so well written and they all like make sense together somehow, but then also like the production on this album is unbelievable. Like it's so good. It's like cohesive, but every song also feels a little different.
Mhm.
And like all not all of her EPs before, but a lot of her EPs kind of had like a similar, almost like a live band feel. Like it felt like you were like watching somebody perform this live with like a band, which I loved and it was so cool. So then to have this album that's very like, yeah, like synth heavy and like, I don't know, like atmospheric. I feel like I've said that a lot, but like it feels like you're in a movie kind of like it works for that too.
Mhm.
It's great.
I was gonna ask, do you know any like background on her as a person? Like any backstory on her?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like some her mom actually is like an actress, like a famous actress. She's in she's in Hocus Pocus. She's
Oh,
like yeah, her mom is the brunette. Okay, here
The
it is.
brunette
Kathy,
witch?
no, yeah. The one, yes.
Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
this is her mom. Why can't
Queen.
it's not
Queen.
working.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, so
I feel
that's
like I'm
her.
having a revolution moment.
So her mom, I didn't know this for like such a long time after listening to her also. Yeah, so her mom is an actress. I think she did like a tiny bit of acting maybe and was like in a musical theater. Like I think she was in some type of like musical production at some point. I don't know a ton about it, but yeah, that's like a fun kind of background. So there's some like, is there something in the movies I believe she's talked about is about Brittany Murphy? Actually, like the stuffed pig that she talks about, and is there some like Brittany Murphy gave her that as a child. And so, yeah, I got it from someone who died of attention. Like, that's, yeah, that's like a reference to, yeah. So I don't know. It's like one of those people. It's like, your mom's famous. Like, what? I just thought you were like this. I mean, and obviously she is so talented, but like, I like loved her music for like a full year. And then I was like, wait, what?
That's crazy. I feel like I'm having
Yeah.
an out of body moment. Do you know like
Yeah.
why she named it the baby, or like what was the inspiration?
I'm not sure. There's some like there's a lot of references like to youth in like the lyrics and everything. Like she talks a lot about like getting taller kind of, or like I think, you know, her mom singing to her in the beginning is like probably when she was a baby. Like there's just a lot of like allusions to youth in that. And so I mean that's what I have always taken it as, is that like the baby is kind of like a little nod to that, and you can hear it in a lot of the songs that she talks about, like kind of like youth and innocence sort of themes. So I think so, but
I feel like she could like really skyrocket. I mean, her sound is what
Mhm.
people want to hear right now. Like that's just
Yeah,
so yeah.
especially like with people like Phoebe Bridgers, and like I know it's like everybody kind of compares female artists or whatever, but with people like Phoebe Bridgers, Maggie Rogers, even like Lord, there's some like some of the lyrics sort of feel like that, or almost so yeah, with like how big those people are, and specifically Phoebe Bridgers in the last like year or so, it just feels like, yeah, like she could be the very next like huge thing. And also, I don't know if you guys knew this about it, but a lot of the production was done by, do you guys know Hippocampus?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, a lot. I think I'm pretty sure every song, maybe like most of the songs, if not every song, was produced by one or two Hippocampus members. So it's Jake and Nathan, I believe are their names.
Also,
I love that.
I had a question because I know,
Yeah.
Mel, I know you, I mean, I should preface, Madeline and I have met in real life.
We have.
We've hung out. You're one of my good friends.
Yes.
And I know that when we first met, you got a tattoo of lyrics. So I'm bringing in this topic.
Yes.
You're a lyrics person, and lyrics mean a lot to you. Do you have
Damn.
favorite lyrics from this album that have like resonated with you that you would want to talk about?
Yes. Okay. Pool, first of all of it. But specifically like wait, there's a line that's like, I'm afraid that I need men or something. And like it's like one of the first lines on the whole album. And I was like, oh my God. Like it just was like, holy shit.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
first listened to, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, like one of the opening lines is that. And I was like, what a powerful statement to make like right off the bat, and something like so relatable for every woman almost. Like, yeah, so that's a huge one. And then also I said earlier, the how long do you think we can sit here before we have to move? That one just like, I just love that. I think that's like the coolest. I don't know, and that's exactly what that song feels like to you. It feels like you're just like sitting somewhere and waiting for something to happen. I'm trying the whole entire song Triptych is like, I don't know. I'm not gonna go like super in depth on that one because it's literally every line in it. But I love that song lyrically. I think it's like one of my favorites lyrically on the whole thing. I literally could scream about this album for, I'm getting like too excited. I need to calm down.
No, this is the point. Get excited.
But I think Pool has a lot that stick out to me. Triptych, like I said, the whole thing. Limbo Bitch has this line also that's like, think I like your mama too much not to say amen. And like, what a casual religious commentary. Like she just slipped that in there, and like you could almost not notice it if you like just were listening. But like, I don't know. It's just like there's so many things like that she like glosses over so casually, but it's like these things that we do think about, and especially at this age too. Like I feel like we're all a sort of similar age, or at least stage in life to this.
You're
little younger.
way
Emma, I
older.
just
You're
pretend
way
like you're
older.
older than you are, because like I cannot wrap my brain around the fact that you are this cool at the age that you are. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Ah, well, I mean, I think that the what you were saying though about the lyrics, like
Yeah.
how it's so casual and so personal, yet so
Yes.
like, and she does it in such a way that it's I feel like it's even more personal that she doesn't directly say some of these
Yeah.
things and just glosses over, because that's, I mean, that's how it is usually, and not usually, but a lot of the time there's so much stuff that
Yeah.
just goes unnoticed in life or what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that she says them too, it's like it's so personal, but it also is just like universal in a lot of ways. In
Hmm.
Triptych also, there's a line where she says, I would give it up to every man I love. I take what I can get. And every woman too, I would too. That's my only secret left. And like something about her being like, that's my only secret left. And she's saying this in a song. Like, I just think that's so, oh, it's so cool. And like, I don't know. I love it because it sounds casual, but it's so personal and also somehow applies to like every young woman that I know.
Yep. I
It's
think
beautiful.
you can tell that she's good at and loves what she's doing. Like you can tell
Yeah.
that when someone is passionate about something, you can really tell that in their work. And I think that with
Yeah.
Samia especially, it's like so apparent that she has major talent and also is
Hmm.
happy doing what she's doing. And like
Yeah.
there are,
Yeah. It's so great. And this album, like, I think showcases it perfectly because I've always been like, she's an amazing artist and like I really love her voice and I love all her songs and stuff. But I think it's so much easier when you have an album of work to like point to this person and be like, look at how good this
Mhm.
is.
Beyond Samia, um,
Yeah.
since we're talking about music, like what for you growing up, what did you listen to? Or like through high school, college, like what, and now, like
Yeah.
what are your other.
Okay. So growing up, I've like moved around a lot, but my mom is from like North Carolina and is very like Southern lady. So I listened to a lot of country music growing up, actually. So I like loved Shania Twain, the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks now, I'm so sorry. Um, yeah, and like those kinds of artists, like I loved country music. And then my dad's Canadian, so like there's like some obscure like random there's this band called the Tragically Hip that's like one of my favorite bands ever, and they're just like a Canadian band.
I like
But
that name.
yeah, so I have like a sort of weird array of music from like youth. And then as I started to get into like middle school, um Taylor Swift came onto the scene and like really it was the coolest thing ever because I like grew up loving country music, but then like keeping it a secret because it was never cool. It was never like something that anyone like liked, at least where I was living at the time. So then Taylor Swift happened and she made it popular and I was like, oh, this is great. And she like really opened me up to like songwriting and like what that's like and that that's even a thing. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of times when I was listening to music when I was younger, I never thought about them making those, like I was like I never imagined who wrote these songs or like whatever. It was never a thought in my brain. But now ever since Taylor Swift, every single song I hear I'm like, who wrote this? I mean, I owe it all to Taylor. But yeah, and then later like in high school I had like, my alternative indie phase where you like try to pretend like you're cooler than everybody else. And
That is
I was like hiding all of the music that I liked
that is
essentially. Yeah, so that was a lot of high school was just like, I don't know, not fully allowing myself to enjoy what I liked. And then college happened and I got into like I went into like my emo phase because I had a Panic at the Disco phase when I was like in middle school also. But like I started really getting into Paramore and my 21 Pilots, which was my first experience, like stan experience of like I had a Tumblr
oh
for
wow.
them. I think I had a Twitter for them also. I was like I was in it.
Mhm.
So that was my first like stan experience. And then one day we're about to address the elephant in the room that's been in the room this whole time that we
Yes,
haven't
I
talked
mean,
about. One day I decided I was sick and I like was not having a good time, and my roommate was really into One Direction, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch This Is Us. I had no qualms about One Direction. I really liked a lot of their singles. I'd actually listened to Made in the AM at the time, but it was January of 2017, and I was like, I'm gonna watch This Is Us, the One Direction documentary. And like my life was like just flip of a switch. I was a different person. I I broke up with my boyfriend. Every time we talk about this, it makes me cry laughing because it's the funniest thing ever. I was in a 4-year-long relationship. I watched This Is Us one time, and not even kidding you, 5 days later, I broke up with my boyfriend. I like started to, yeah. So I watched the movie, and then, yeah, same thing. I was like, I saw like 5 seconds of Harry Styles talking, not even singing yet. I saw him talking, and I was like, no, I like this. Like, this is what I like. And then that was before there were any real like rumors about Harry's solo music coming out at all. But I was kind of like, I was on the Harry train already. I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. Like, I loved all of them, obviously, and like I'm big Niall girl too, but like I was so excited about Harry and his music potentially. And like what a good time to become a fan of his, because yeah, then like a couple months later, Sign of the Times happened, and then a couple months later, like a month after that, then it was HS1, and like genuinely my life has never been the same. I've been in this for 4 years. Like all of my friends are because of him. Everything that most of the clothes that I own is Harry Styles. Like it's his merch. Like
That's
yeah,
that's
that's
so
where we're at now.
relatable, and I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of people that are listening are going to relate to that. And
yeah,
as a younger person, I didn't get like I'm a little late to the party, I would say,
yeah,
because when I like liked One Direction in middle school or like
yeah,
elementary, middle school, but I never was super attached. Like I didn't have
yeah.
social media, so I couldn't keep up with things.
Yeah, when you don't like when you're not in that world, you don't realize that like standing is a thing. Like I
Yeah,
literally didn't know that that was like a thing that people did. I had like
exactly.
I don't know. And then of course there's like a little bit of a stigma attached to it too of like I mean you're already like hiding any popular music that you like because you think it's cooler to like unpopular stuff. And then on top of that you're like, well, I can't like really really like something because that's uncool too for some
Right.
reason. So I will say that that is a positive from
Mhm.
TikTok, is that I do think a lot of people feel more comfortable now about the things that they like.
And
I
that's
do
great.
think that the embarrassment was important for character development for me personally, but like
So
it's nice
true.
to be able to like things that you like and not be like ashamed of it.
Mhm. Claire was
Adult
talking
decisions.
her experience last episode about that too. And like I
Yeah.
think like throughout high school, right, you were saying, Claire? Throughout high school is like each
I've
album.
like literally been a fan of One Direction since like right after X Factor, which is insane.
That's
But
so
also, I
crazy.
wasn't like invested the whole time. So
Hmm.
like I think that's why I can't claim like my
You can claim whatever you want.
I'm in the same boat as you in the sense of like I remember vividly my friend Curran showing me the What Makes You Beautiful music video when I was
Dude,
in the 8th grade.
I remember listening to that for the first time when I was in 8th grade too.
It's like such an impact too. And I think like going to like you remembering vividly, like something that Emma and I both talked about last episode was when we were young, we listened to like our mom like would influence ABBA on us. Like that's like you remember
I love
distinctly
that.
that being a part of your like those albums that
Yeah.
impact you, and like it's so crazy how like music can influence such huge parts of your life. Like, and we could talk about Maggie for years, but like the fact that we both cut our hair because of Alaska, the song
Yeah.
Alaska, and like that song changed my life in the sense of like I can get over anything.
I
Like
Yeah. It's
love
like
that
a
song. I didn't
rebirth
know
sort
that.
of.
is life
Yeah.
change. It things music changes your life and makes you more
Yeah.
confident, and like I think that makes me sad when like, and I totally respect people that are just not music people, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
about like I could not imagine my life without music and how
No.
music
I
has
don't I
made me more
don't
confident.
understand it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? What do you think about in your spare time if it's not like I don't know, and like people who don't like know every word to every song.
It's
Like I'm
another
just like I like sing everything, like every song that comes on the radio, I know all the words. I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know where it goes. I'm like, there's not that much room up here. Like, where is it all going? But like, I don't know. It's like it's such a part of everything that I do. I have to have music on all the time.
That's
And I don't understand people that are like, people that just like sit there and listen. I'm like,
how.
unless it's literally my first listen through an
Yes.
album, like I'm singing along in
Yep.
some form. I actually, the way that I found Samia is like sort of weirdly connected to Harry in some ways. So you guys know King Princess.
Mhm.
I went to a King Princess show and Donna Missile was the opener. And it was like it was insane. I was like front row and Donna like held out that she did a cover of Torn. And which first of all, One Direction like blew my
So
mind.
many
I was
connections.
freaking out. Yeah. So, and then she held out the mic to me during like the chorus or whatever. And it was like the happiest moment of my life. Like I will, when I die and I see like the reel of moments, that's going to be on it for sure. Like seriously, like top 5 moments ever. And so then I was like, oh, now I'm obsessed with her. And so then I started listening to her music. She didn't have an album yet either. That album came out like later that year. And so I started going to her shows. And then, yeah, like a little less than a year after that was when I went to the show in LA and Samia opened for her. And like, I mean,
That's how you
just,
got
yeah,
there.
it's a fun, like couple degrees of separation. But yeah, thank you, Harry, for.
Artists you're into right now?
Yeah. Any other artists?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I mean, we always have to mention Miss Taylor Swift.
Same.
2 albums in less than a year, like 6 months of each other. She just never lets me down. It's amazing. I think if there's anything that I could tell, like any advice I could give like a younger person, it would be like never be ashamed for the things that you like. You
Never.
like them, I don't know, like whatever you want. Yeah, Taylor Swift, we can't not mention her. I do love Phoebe Bridgers. What else? I've been getting kind of back into Bad Sons a lot.
Yeah, I saw them open for Halsey,
Is
maybe.
Daft Pretty
Yeah.
Boys a Bad Son song? That is my favorite song. Like,
No, because I was just listening to that today. That
Such
is
a
my
good song.
favorite. That is literally what's up on my Spotify right now.
that is one of the best songs ever.
It is. Right before I came on here, I was listening to that song.
What
That's
was
so
your
funny.
also look at your Spotify Wrapped because that's what we
Oh,
talked
my
about
top
our last one.
2020.
Yeah,
That's a
this
good
is-
idea. I feel like I've mentioned almost all of these people already. Dua Lipa, also
Queen.
good 2020 album. Her album from 2020, Future Nostalgia, is like, it's a masterpiece. It's incredible. What else do we have in here? Lennon Stella. I don't know if you guys
Oh, Queen.
know
oh
her.
my God.
She's so great.
Yeah.
She's so great. She also had an album in 2020.
One of her songs came on my
That's
Discover
amazing.
Weekly last week.
She's so good.
Mhm.
She has her voice is so pretty and unique and amazing. I don't understand at all how she is as talented as she is. I do like the 1975. I'm less into them than I was like I'm not at my height 1975 phase. I like It When You Sleep. That album is
Talked about that too.
it's perfect.
Yeah. Wait.
it's
Off the record.
But Maddie is problematic.
Yeah, I had a big 1975 phase for a while. So there's some of that's in there. It's mostly If You're Too Shy is really good. This is like such a dumb Tiny Meat Gang. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Yeah.
Cody Ko and Noel Miller. Broke Bitch is on my top 2020
Such a good song.
playlist. I'm also doing this fun thing that my friend did last year, and so I made a playlist for 2021. She did this for 2020, and she added a song every day, like just something that, like a song that was significant that day or something that day reminded her of. It's so smart, isn't it? And it's not too late. It's only been a couple days. You can still kind of like go back. Isn't that so smart? She's brilliant. Yeah. So I started that too. I need to catch up. I have
Create playlist.
days. Yeah. It's such a good idea. So I'm doing that this year. So that'll be fun. Isn't that so smart?
Oh my God. Because there's already been.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been like 10 days, hasn't it? What day is it? I don't know.
I want to say one of the albums that I've discovered within the first 10 days of this year is a Men I Trust album, and like I'd heard some of their songs before
Ooh.
because I think some of their most popular songs are very popular everywhere, but
Yeah.
this album, so good.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's called
Wait, send it to me.
yeah, it's called, I don't know how to say it. She says it in the first song. It's called Uncle Jazz or something.
Yeah, those are most of my favorites.
It's
I feel like I've
good.
mentioned
That's
everyone that's like super significant. I have some playlists that people can check out if they're interested
Mhm.
at all. I like some old music too. Like I like Van Morrison, that kind of stuff. I love 80s music. 80s like pop is one of my favorite things in the entire world. My dad listened to that a lot growing up too. So I don't know. I like a lot of pop music and then just like some random top artists of 2020, definitely Harry, Samia, Donna, Dua, Taylor, obviously.
so cool.
Um, so good. So good.
Oh my gosh, Madeline, I feel like I've learned so much about you today.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I seriously cannot believe we hadn't talked until now.
That's a new era.
Any final thoughts, Madeline, on
Yeah,
Samia?
anything before we head off?
I don't have anything. I mean, follow me on
Of
Instagram if you don't
course.
already. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Madeline G. White on Instagram. I post not very frequently right now, but I'll get back into it one day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
She's hot, guys. So just saying.
Yeah, beautiful,
Shut
beautiful,
up.
beautiful specimen.
This was so much fun. I wish
Yeah.
that we could do this every single day.
And also,
Okay.
I think you have such like a way of with words, and I think you're so amazing at talking, and I love hearing your opinions on
I'm
things. And
fucking
I'm
crying.
so glad that we got to talk about one of your favorite albums. And I hope
Thank you.
the listeners enjoy
Yes.
it too. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This was fantastic. Thank you for listening to my music recommendation. This was amazing. Now, thumbnail.
all right, bye guys. Bye.
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 Much love, many thanks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And for the next episode, your listening homework is another album, and it's called The End of Comedy by Drugdealer. I'll make sure to write it out in the description as always. Next episode, we actually have two guests which I'm pretty sure a good handful of you will also know. So get excited about it. And that's all for me for now. I hope you enjoyed this past episode. I hope you will enjoy the next episode. And I hope you enjoy this album in between. And thank you so much for listening, as always. And I'll see you later. Bye.